Hi, and welcome to this episode of Resilient Voices. Today I'm talking to Michelle Franz, a woman from South Africa who's lived in different continents and now leads a life from Dubai. And she's got a story to share, some life defining moments that really built her resilience. She's a true inspiration. So just tune into this episode. Hi, and welcome to a new episode of Resilient Voices. Today I have a resilient woman with me on the screen from Dubai. Welcome, Michelle Franz.
Oh, it's lovely to be here, Jessica. Thank you.
Yeah, super lovely to have you here. So, as you know, we're going to talk about resilience, and so do our listeners as well. And look, I got myself a resilient shirt, so
Love
it's
it.
all
Love
it's
it.
all about resilience. But Michelle, you're in Dubai, but I know that that has been your home for a little while. But just give our listeners a little bit of background, who you are and what brought you to Dubai and
Yeah.
eventually to the studio here with me, maybe.
Well, it's great to be here. I am originally born in South Africa, and my family emigrated to Australia in the early 80s. But I've been in, after qualifying in Australia, I've been in Dubai now for 28 years. And
Wow.
so a large proportion of my professional life, but I
Yeah.
did have 13 years in Australia. So I guess the move when I was a teenager from South Africa to Australia, it kind of, I think, ignited the gypsy in me. I quite love being on the road, traveling,
Yeah.
having new adventures. And so the move to Dubai was something that I didn't actually think twice about when I was a lot younger, and very, very pleased that I did. So my husband and I have enjoyed a lovely, long, successful career and a wonderful life in Dubai for the last 28 years.
Wow, that's exciting. Yeah, that's like a full
Yeah.
life, isn't it?
It is. It is. It
Yeah.
was longer than we thought. I originally came for 2 years, but hey ho.
Yeah, a bit longer, just a tiny bit, tiny bit. But and I know that you, Michelle, have gone through some really difficult periods in your life,
Yeah.
and that really challenged your strength and your resilience. What would you like to share with us today?
I was actually thinking about this, Jess. There's so many things that I have when I was reflecting on this particular conversation, things that I wouldn't have normally considered resilient, as a demonstration of my resilience. But
Mm-hmm.
it was a very good exercise in reflection. I think my first big one was actually and I was too young to know it at the time, was
Mm-hmm.
actually when I was about 14, and I was given an opportunity to go to what they called a multiracial school in Dubai. In South Africa, where with the racial situation at the time
Yeah, yeah.
was something as a kid I didn't actually realize what I was letting myself in for. So that was one very formative experience where I went into it. I accepted the invitation to go. Got a lot of backlash from the school community I entered into, and of course my community, who felt that
Yeah.
I'd kind of left them behind.
Yeah, yeah. Just help me here. What year do we have here
Ah,
when this was?
we're talking in the late 70s, about
Yeah,
1978. Yeah.
yeah. So it was sort of during the
Oh, in the
old,
midst
yeah, in the midst of apartheid and all of
of the
that.
apartheid era, for
Yeah,
sure,
yeah,
for sure,
yeah,
for sure.
yeah. I think that's an
So
important information to have in this
yes, it is.
context.
Sorry,
Yeah,
you
yeah,
kind of forget. Yes, yes.
yeah,
So
yeah,
yes, that was, and I was a teenager at the time,
yeah.
and again with that spirit of accepting challenges, did that, but didn't for a moment recognize that when I accepted it, what the repercussions would be.
Mm-hmm.
And I think when you are in a situation where you build your resilience. It sometimes it comes from avenues you're not quite expecting, and that was, I have to say, it was one I didn't think would impact me as greatly as it has further down the line. So yeah, So that's definitely one. And I was reflecting on how I managed to actually do that. And I think I was too young to know anything different. I was excited about the
Yeah. Yeah.
challenge. I recognized that it could be something I was really interested in. And so therefore I followed my interest. I followed the spirit of challenge. And yeah, I coped with the help of my family, with my help of some of my better friends. Again, that support didn't come from all of the areas I typically would have thought it would come from. It came from quite unexpected quarters. So
Interesting.
it was, Jessica, because at the end of the day, I didn't realize at the time my accepting to go to this school, the fact that my non-white community saw, some elements of my non-white community saw it as a traitorous act. And with that came repercussions for my family. You know, my mum was a prominent member in the community, and she had to face the barrage that came with that kind of act that I thought I was just really going to go and do something exciting and new. Yeah. So that was a lesson. That was a lesson in basically sticking to your guns, but only because what I learned in those 2 years at this very special school, which can I just say was closed down after 2 years because of the interest that it generated on both sides of the white community and the non-white community. It was something that was just not tolerated by the government at all. So the actual school was closed. But the lessons I learned about being human, I learned as a non-white child, that as a non-white teenager, that at the time, white teenagers were just like me. And it was a lesson that not many of my peers in my non-white community had any idea of, because we were fed very different information.
Kept separate.
Very much so. Very, very much so. So that was something. But I guess further down the line, story of... so that was something that I guess I had control of, and I decided to go for it.
Yeah.
But my second occasion in my life was when I was politely told by my cardiologist that I needed my second open heart surgery. That was totally out of my control. And it did require, digging deep, because it was unexpected, number one.
Yeah.
And number two, the chances of survival were actually not great. So, I was 38 at the time, and I was told to put my affairs in order and to prepare my family and myself for the possibility that I wouldn't make it off the theatre table. That was a really interesting, on reflection. At the time, interesting may not have been the word I would have chosen.
No. I would say so.
But on reflection, just what it did do was show me that I had no choice at that time but to place my trust in somebody who had the skills to help me when I actually couldn't help myself.
Okay, yeah.
And I think in this whole resilience conversation, that notion of trusting, for me, resonates throughout some of the experiences that I've had.
Yeah. But that's a big thing. You said it was your second heart surgery, so you'd gone through it once before then.
I was. It was actually 10 years earlier. So I was 28, and I'd picked up a viral infection as a toddler in South Africa, which remained undiagnosed, and it weakened my heart valve. So they knew it was on the cards, and I In their words, I lasted longer than I should have for the first one, which was great.
That was
And
great.
then,
Yeah.
yeah. And so when the first open heart surgery, I was young. They gave me what they call human. I had a human donor valve and I had an animal valve. And the reason they kind of did that was to make sure that I didn't have to be on medication long term. But one of the valves was actually the donor valve actually stenoded, which means it stopped working. And then the second open heart surgery, I had no choice. It had to be, my heart valves had to be replaced with prosthetic heart valves, which were mechanical. So I would be on medication long term to maintain the level of thickness of my blood so that these valves could function optimally. So the second open heart surgery is actually very, very risky because it's a traumatic event on your body, and their survival rates. Then I'm talking about nearly 20 years ago now for the second heart surgery. Though the stats at the time were, they didn't have they had a decent but not a guaranteed survival rate.
Okay. That must have been then not when you if you move yourself back to that time. What was how did you cope with that? How did you handle it? Did your background, what you'd experienced before, did that help you to sort of to go through it, or what do you think?
For those of us who grow up with, I wouldn't say limitations, but certainly you're notified at every point by medical staff that you have these restrictions on your life, on your lifestyle, I should say. No, they're not massive, but you have them and you live with them. And I guess post the second surgery, my attitude was very much, oh my gosh, every day is a new day. But it's something, what helped me, definitely that mentality that I'd grown up with, that I would always be requiring special medical care, that, good health was something I had to work for, and it was never guaranteed. It was something that I had to take into consideration for every major decision I made in my life. And to give you an example, when I decided to leap and come to Dubai for to work, my first thought was, if my health took a negative turn in any way, I would return home. That was a non-negotiable element of my consideration. And so what actually helped me was certainly the strength and support of my family. I think if you don't have your base team who are there, I was lucky to have that. By the time I had my second open heart surgery, I had a boyfriend who subsequently became husband. And so having that kind of support cannot be underestimated, because in my case, my issues were physical. So I actually needed practical help. It wasn't just mental strength. I needed a combination of both. But I would say I've always been positive. I've always tried to be positive. And in that light, it wasn't a surprise. It was unexpected, but it wasn't a surprise. It was always in the back of my mind that the valves may not last their entire length of time. And so, I think it was, I was okay with it. I actually drew on the fact that I was having such a great life, that I didn't have any feelings of I wasn't looking back on things negatively. I was always looking forward. So, it scared me a little bit when, and certainly my resilience was tested when we couldn't find a surgeon who was actually happy enough to do the second open heart surgery, because obviously risky surgeries don't reflect well on surgeons' statistics and, on their
Oh,
professional.
wow.
Yeah, so that was a whole thing I wasn't quite prepared for, but we found somebody who was willing to give me a go, and for that, I will be eternally
Yeah.
grateful.
You found the right one for sure then.
We did.
Yeah.
We
Yeah.
did.
And this was in
And
Australia, was it?
this was in Australia, yes. I actually,
Yeah. Yeah.
at the time in Dubai, my recovery was earmarked as being a good 3 to 4 months.
Okay.
And it seemed like being home was the best place for that recovery. I was living in an apartment in Dubai, so physical exercise, all of that. I wanted my family around me.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
yes, Australia seemed the natural place to do it. So I went back home and
Okay.
lived at home with mum and dad.
Nice to do
Yes,
that. Or
yes.
how was that? How was it?
Oh, um, I think it was harder on my parents than it actually was. Physically, it was hard on me, but I think
Yeah.
emotionally, it was harder on them.
Mm-hmm.
Particularly that first month, it's constant care. I could do very little unassisted.
Yeah.
Um,
Okay. Yeah.
and I think it's hard, for your parents to see you go through that. It's difficult for
Yeah.
them. But emotionally, for me, having had my freedom, having had my independence challenged so incredibly drastically, whoa, there were days when, I had to go for blood tests every day. I was like a pincushion. It hurt. I couldn't drive. Being in the car was uncomfortable. Oh, there was some not great days. Absolutely.
Yeah. Yeah.
But
Yeah.
again, I say our bodies are just incredible machines. And if we look after them and we try and we give them that time, you do heal. And they say time is a healer. It's a cliche, but it actually has a lot of element of truth attached to it.
Yeah. Yeah, but then as well, what you said, that this with the positive mindset and being a positive person, don't you think that also the body heals, but in order to really to heal properly, mentally, I think you have a big job yourself. It would be different in your mindset and your attitude. Or what do you think about that? Do you
Yeah, I
think
think,
that?
I think, yeah, but I think also the work you've got to put into, because even in those dark days, your strength is challenged. Your emotional strength, it's challenged. So it's actually having those skills in reserve to say, I was warned that there would be days like this. There are better days to come. So yes, holding on to those, what would you say, the information that you are given that says, we know that it will get better. You just have to be patient,
Yeah.
and you have to listen to your body, and you have to draw on your reserves, draw on the people around you. And I would actually say that's the one time where you have to put yourself first. I was never used to doing that. I never used to put myself first. I was always one of those who checked on everybody else. And this time, the only person who could get me through this
Yeah.
ultimately was me. If I gave up,
Yeah.
I wasn't going to get through it.
Yeah.
And so you're right. I think you don't realize it at the time. I think when you have a positive mindset, all you keep doing is just saying, I know I can get there. Unless something really throws a spanner in the works, I know I'll get there.
Yeah. 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 That's a very powerful tool, or whatever you want to call it.
Yeah.
But actually to have that mindset, and also, I think what you said as well, this would actually trust that it's going to work out, and really, really do like put a lot of your. It's about faith, isn't it? It's about having the
Yes.
trust in that everything is going to work out
Yes.
for the best.
And I think you do it with faith is something that's not quite tangible, but it's that inner faith that comes out, that when your body is actually not doing what you're used to it doing, which is to do what you want it to do, basically, you're challenged at a very fundamental level.
Oh, yeah.
You know,
Yeah.
yeah, and you make a decision at a very fundamental level that says, I want to be able to do some of those things I used to do before. Or I
Yeah.
guess you could make a decision that says, I don't. But when you make that decision, I do want to, I think that's where there's that connection, you
Yeah.
know, that takes place, and that helps you keep on track, because it's not, every day was not easy. Absolutely not.
No. No, and that would be, I mean, if that was the case, yeah, then we wouldn't learn anything, because I think it is really when we talk about resilience and talk about what grows resilience, and what pulls us through things, is actually also to go through the difficult moments, to actually accept and surrender to that. Sometimes life, some days are hard, life sucks sometimes, and just allow them to do that, and just say, okay, today it's not a good day, but I know it's not going to last, because there will be other days that I will get through this. So it's also about accepting, like fully acceptance of that life is not just glitter and rainbows.
100%. I think that acceptance, and I think that ability to lean on others, because we don't do that naturally. And you know, for fiercely independent people, particularly, I know I am, and I am working on that, Jess, trust me. But you know, that trait can sometimes stop you from growing, because you think you've got to do it all on your own, but actually when you can't, you realize that actually bringing people in, trusting, like you said before, leaning, and is something that you've actually got to teach yourself to do, and be prepared to do, if you want to be able to get to where you want to be.
Yeah, yeah. You know, I one of my beliefs is that we're given, never given more than we can handle, and that we're given things and situations and people in our life that we need for our own development. What are your thoughts about that?
I couldn't agree more. And I think particularly when you're not in control, you know, when for example with my health episode there, my health experience, I had to trust, I had to let go, I had to let people in, who, my nurses, my doctors, who were there for just that short time, you know, that 3-month period that I needed them, in order to move on to that next phase. I think I was reading something the other day, and they were talking about people coming into your life for different seasons and for different reasons.
Yes.
And I think part of our resilience journey is so connected with that, because, you know, they're there for that time when you need them. You learn from them. They help you to grow. They help you to move forward. And then you almost shed them in the nicest possible way, and then to move on. And these professionals, particularly I'm talking about the health industry in my case, are just so incredible at giving folks that support that they need for that crucial time, in order to help them to move on.
Yeah, that's amazing profession, isn't it? To support and help people through those most difficult moments in their lives, and that's
the
like
unsung
part
heroes.
Yeah.
Because there's no way I could have done it without them, without that surgeon's expertise, for his willingness to take a risk on me. Like that opportunity to learn anything would have stopped right there and then.
Yeah. But are you a person of like faith? Do you have a practice of do you believe in something bigger than like God, universe, something like that? Or
I think these occasions in my life, they're the perfect example of when you actually get to question who and what you do believe in. And yes, I do. I believe in a higher being. I believe, but it's a very personal relationship that I have. You know, it's something that serves me. And I was brought up as a churchgoer and all the rest of it. But I very quickly in my adult life wanted it to be not so much for the community aspect of organized religion. It became something very personal. And so, yes, I would have to say that in those, certainly when in my recovery and pre-surgery times, you have those very deep conversations with yourself and the higher being, trying to lay it all out and trying to kind of figure it all out as to how it all go fit, what its potential could be, what could happen, what may not happen, what the great result is, what the poor result would be. You put it in perspective, I guess, perspective.
Yeah.
And yes, I would say that has definitely played a part. Yeah. In particularly the times when you're challenged.
Yeah. Would you say that for you, because obviously that your the second heart surgery was, you knew that there were risks that you would not manage and survive that operation. Would you say that faith and your belief changed before that happened until and afterwards? Do you feel like it's a...
I think there's no doubt that it did. I think that, I think part of that whole, when you're talking about, my belief, my faith, that things would turn out the way that I wanted them to, which was to survive, which was to make sure that I was able to move on. And the fact that I did wake up, and the fact that I did have the opportunity to do that, I kind of, there is a feeling that says, okay, we've got ourselves a deal here, I wanted this, I got it, and now I can see how I will always want you to have that power there near me, with me, so that if I can draw upon it again. Yeah, definitely for strength, for sure. Yeah, without a doubt.
Yeah, that's beautiful. Thank you so much.
Yeah.
So would you say that this heart condition of yours in the situation or the operation, has that changed you as a person, or are you the same type of the same Michelle as when you went to that school when you were 40, and that sort of...
Yes, I changed in the fact that I do not ever take health for granted. I think we've got so many things that are going on. There's a lot of noise going on in our world today, and we get worried and upset and glad and happy, but all sorts of different things. And we aspire and we work towards, and we have goals, but none of that actually matters if you don't have your health. And so I would say, as a result of my second surgery, that has been the thing that I will never let go of. Health is not something, you have some control over it. You have the opportunity to put things in place that will help you or give you the best chance of coping if things don't go well. But to build up your strength, to all of immunity, all that kind of stuff. So that is what I would say. It is the same Michelle. She's still somebody who loves taking risks, who loves doing things that no one might expect, or maybe do and face the wrath or face the negative comments that might come from it. But always putting my health, and I guess the health of others around me, in a very central part of my thinking, my planning, and of my living. There's no two ways about it. I can't take it. I'm on medication for life. I have to make sure that I lead a fairly moderate, physical, healthy lifestyle, but that does not stop me from having fun. Lots and exploring different ways of having fun. It's not a life sentence. It's actually just something that says, just be more considerate, be more thoughtful, and I would hope that part of my personality has come through a whole lot more.
I think that isn't that when you're at that stage in life where you've maybe it may be taken away from you,
Yes.
that's when you actually really, I mean, may not be you personally, but when death comes closer to you,
Yes.
that's when you really sort of start to cherish life in a greater way. And
And I would say alongside that comes courage, because if you don't actually take those new opportunities that come your way, you almost look back at those times and think, well, wasn't that not the reason I was given an opportunity to move forward? And I'll give you another example, Jess. I mean, I
yeah,
was one of those professional women who never thought I would change careers at a very late stage in my life.
yeah, yeah,
And it's the other thing I'll just go back for 1 second. When you have a physical trauma on your body, our bodies are so just such incredible works of art that you actually forget about that depth and intensity of pain.
yeah,
I mean, I've talked to my friends who've given birth, and they say the same thing. You have that whole process can be incredibly traumatic on your body, but of course, the result after is amazing. And
yeah,
I think it's the same with me. I had a deeply intense physical experience, came out of it, and the tendency to forget about that is real, because you move on with your life and you enjoy.
yeah.
But what actually happened was, in my mid-50s, I lost my job. And it was not it wasn't a totally unexpected, but it was always going to be an option. But it was never one that I thought would actually happen. And when it actually did, I realized that actually I was more exhausted than I thought I was. But I loved my job. I was having
Yeah.
it was my life. I was principal of a school. I led a community and all the rest of it. And I actually didn't realize what the toll had been on me. And so again, that was another experience that made me stop in my tracks, reevaluate, make some decisions about how I was going to take my opportunity that was given to me years ago, this new experience or this new event, and how I was going to now move on, given that I was 20 years older, given that I had lived through all of that. And I would say all of that experience sort of came to the fore when I actually took the decision to leave my profession and start something brand new.
Wow, exciting. What was that brand new? Because that's what you're still doing, is it?
I am. It took me a while to find my legs and my
Yeah.
area of interest, because I was so ingrained. I mean, I had 35 years in the education sphere, so this was brand new. I was one of those people who kind of, my husband, I've been married for nearly 20 years, and I kind of knew what he did, but I didn't really know what he did. He was successful, I was doing my thing, life was great, we kind of met in the middle and had a great time.
Yeah,
And
yeah.
and it was not until I actually stopped and realized what he was doing, I realized there was a possibility that I could bring my skills that I'd been nurturing and perfecting,
Yeah.
not perfecting, but certainly growing in the years, to actually build something that was complementary to what he was actually doing. So he was always involved in working with entrepreneurs and working with them at quite a high business skill level. But I came in and introduced a second arm, or a new business, that was building a community of business owners who helped and supported each other, and kind of they could access this higher learning if they wanted to with Phil, but they could also get the support for their entrepreneurial journey, which is a tough one, I might add, way
Yeah.
tougher than I ever imagined.
Yeah.
And so that's what we're doing. I've kind of started this community of business owners where we have things in place that help to support them and nurture them, help them with connecting to other business owners, and just help them to be a bit more successful in their personal life and in their professional life. So that's my kind of niche, drawing on all of those skills that I've been building up for years. And I never expected it. I didn't even see the opportunity until I actually stopped, recalibrated, and it became quite clear after a while, and I was, and still am, very excited about it.
That sounds amazing. So happy to hear that. And Michelle, would you say that you have I mean, with all your experiences and your, like, from childhood and until now, would you say that what has shaped you the most is there one or two situations, experiences, or is it just everything added together that sort of unfolded and just brought you forward? Can you see that?
Yeah. I would say definitely leaving one's home country and moving into the unknown was something that has certainly shaped my attitude towards life and experiences, for sure. I think even at that early, I was 16 when we left South Africa and immigrated to Australia. And that was at a very formative time in my life. And I think the ability to make new starts, to connect with people, etc., has always been something that I needed to do then, and I love doing now still. I would say that the other thing that has played a profound impact, or has had a profound impact, is my health experiences. They've had to. Just I would be lying if I said that they didn't play a part in it at all. It's been incredibly important. But I would say part of all of that are what's helped to shape me are the different people who've come into my life at different stages. And I think letting people in, as well as helping them, supporting them, but they do the same for me in turn. Those personal connections cannot be underestimated. I think, people, I think it's an old African saying that, you can go alone, you can choose to go alone and be successful, but you can go together and be even more successful. And I think that's something that I've always believed in. And I've been lucky enough, fortunate enough to attract those people in my life at the times I've needed them to give me that extra push and that extra shove. And I'm hoping that I've been that person for others as well.
I'm sure you have.
But because that's what it's, at the end, that's what it's all about. It's those connections that are just pivotal in your learning and in your ability to move on.
Yeah, and I think just tie back to what you said before, that you meet people for a reason or for a season, and I would like to add that, or for a lifetime, because I truly believe.
Yes,
and
for sure.
The people you meet for a lifetime, in straight away, and the others you find out.
That's part of the journey, isn't it?
Yeah, it is part of the journey.
Yeah. But I would say, it's interesting having conversations like this, because I don't know if we reflect on what we've experienced, what we've done, what we've seen, what we've heard, and this has been a really, really interesting opportunity to do that. Yeah.
Oh, that's
so
beautiful.
Thank you for that. I do appreciate it. Yeah.
And thank you for allowing me to do that together with you, because and I think reflection is one of those beautiful tools that we all can use more often, that reflect I mean, in the moment, I mean, in on a weekly basis, on a daily basis, also like do like a trail back in a bit further in time, because I think it's a lot of things
Yeah.
to get from there in all sorts of way, and definitely also a way of strengthening yourself to actually see
100%.
what like, okay, this is what's happened, what's gone through, and I've overcome this. So whatever comes in my path, whatever comes in my way, I will continue and just do what I
Yeah.
do.
It's so true. You talk about that power of reflection. I do
Yeah.
think its power is heavily underestimated to our own detriment. But you've reminded me of when my job ended. I was really at a bit of a loss, thinking, well, I've got two ways to go now. Do I go back into a similar role, or do I stop, think, and then make a decision about whether I will take a different path? So, as part of my reflection, which was a little bit out there, I decided to do my master's degree. And my master's degree was really interesting, because my tutors were saying, why are you doing this master's degree in education when you have potentially no interest in going back? And I said, I need you to understand, this is my personal reflection on a 35-year career. I'm not doing this for anybody else but me. And it was an extremely powerful way of reflecting on what had been, and it did play a part in me making a decision about whether I would stay in the profession or not. And for me, just having those questions raised, where there had to be a reason, and why? Well, there is no reason. It's for me. It's for my opportunity. It's my opportunity to actually look back on what I've done, how I've done things, and making some assessments and judgments about that. For me, no one else needs to know about it. I do.
Yeah, but Michelle, I think that's the greatest reason of them all.
Yeah.
If
Yeah.
you do it for you.
Yep. Yep.
Because I think
And I
that's
wouldn't have changed anything. And people keep saying, oh, congratulations, congratulations. Now what are you going to do? With what? Is a piece of paper going to change anything? No.
no.
But that was a really interesting, the reaction I got from that, conducting that reflective exercise was really interesting for me.
Yeah. Nice.
Yeah.
So you got some tools in your toolbox when it comes to overcoming, or living a life, a full life, regardless of what comes your way. Do you have a daily practice, a regular practice? What do you do to? What have you developed?
I would say, and I know it's become kind of a trendy word at the moment, but being grateful. Practicing that gratitude, and it doesn't have to be a set practice. I do mine on the go, but I try to do it in the morning, because it's so easy for us to forget about the good things in our life. We do tend as humans to focus on the negative. That seems to command so much of our energy. But I would say trusting in the goodness of people is another one. Being grateful for what you have and looking for the good in what you have, because it's so easy to overlook it. And I'm guilty of that all the time. I'm not saying just because I try to practice it. Could I get better at it? 100%. But you work on it, don't you? I would say, we get told there's a lot of not nice things, a lot of nice people in the world, but I firmly believe that there's a whole lot of goodness out there. And goodness attracts goodness. So, let's find those people. I would say the other one is also a deep-seated belief in yourself. You know, that's where you, no one else can make things happen for you. You've got to play a big, big part in that. You've got to be willing, you've got to be open, but it's got to come from you. And it's easier said than done, I know, but it is something that I think if we can work towards building up, that some people call it confidence. I prefer to think of it more as just trusting those good instincts that you have as me, as a woman, me as an educator, as a wife, as a daughter, as a sister, all of those things, just to trust it a little bit more. We have got a lot of answers inside, but sometimes we just don't look for them here. We tend to go and look outside, you know, for the answers to all of it. But yeah, I would say those things are particularly important for me.
Okay, that's beautiful to share that and hear that. Do you write about it or just mentally practice it?
No, I mentally practice it. But I tell you what, when I do retire, there is a plan, because I do see the value of writing. I have to say, writing my thesis turned me off quite a bit. I'm having a break from writing. But I do understand the value, and I do appreciate the value of it, and it's something I will explore in the future. But at the moment, no. It's verbal.
It's verbal.
It is,
and in a dialogue, and
yes. And I would say also trying to practice it in different spaces. So being in nature, you know, at the moment it's 42 degrees in Dubai. It's not nice to be outside, but using opportunities to get outside when we leave to go and enjoy weather elsewhere is something that I think we also underestimate the power of being in and amongst nature, just to revive us. And I look forward to that when I go to Australia in July. Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, it's a bit cooler in Australia then.
Cannot wait.
Yeah, it's so funny that when you're sort of the opposite, the opposite from the rest of the world, basically. So it's a great spring month, isn't it?
It's winter.
No, it's autumn and winter. Sorry, I was just
Yes,
of course it is
in July.
Yeah, in July. Yeah,
so that will
winter.
be.
Yeah, that's right.
It'll be amazing. So yes, see family, friends, reconnect. It'll be unbelievable.
That sounds lovely. So, do you have I haven't asked you what is your definition of resilience? Do you have one?
A definition of resilience, I would say. Yes, I would say for me, you know, the fact that you were interested in talking to me about my story of resilience, I would say for me, it is my ability to take all of the things that have happened, that I've enjoyed, not enjoyed, learned from, relationships, all of that, to help me to make an informed decision about how to move forward. Because I think even in our darkest times, we always have choice. I think that's the one thing no one can take away from us. We have choice. And for me, resilience is actually being brave enough to look back to help you to move forward. And sometimes looking back is not an easy job. It doesn't, it's not easy. It can be painful. It can be, but not always. But yes, for me, that's what it is. It's actually using that. Yeah, I think that's what
great.
it is.
Thank you for sharing that. It's a combination of reflection, use your experiences, and that's your resources, isn't it?
Yes.
And also, like you said, using people around you when you need it, and also when you have the resources yourself, provide that and give that to others.
Yeah,
And,
100%.
And I think
100%.
that, and obviously that's one of the reasons why you and I have this conversation, because I'm certain that if we share our stories with others, that will there's someone out there that needs to hear that will be inspired. That's like exactly will be what they needed at that time. That we can be that person, that channel to support and help others when they need it. So I think that's.
Well, if anybody is, if that happens, Jessica, then I would have to say job well done to you and to me, because
Yeah.
to be able to help others is probably one of the greatest joys, I think.
Yeah, it is, isn't
About,
it?
yeah, that I certainly know that's where I get my joy from. So
Yeah, and your past professional life and current definitely shows for that, because if you're in education, that's what you do, isn't it?
yeah,
And support and help others to
yeah.
find their knowledge.
Yeah, but empower at the same time. It's not a
Yeah,
help.
yeah,
It's actually building that
yeah,
that power, that empowerment, more than help. Yeah, definitely, because you want them to be able to move on. You don't want them to
yeah,
rely on you. You want them to be able
no,
to move on
yeah,
and
yeah,
just get over their little hiccup that might be there for a little while. Yeah.
yeah, yeah. That's great. So, what are you most excited about now?
Well, I would say the stage that we are at in our business is exciting. It's certainly provided opportunities that I didn't think it would. Opportunities not just to reach more people, but certainly to empower the people that we are already working with. So that's super exciting. On the short term, I'm super excited about the moment. My parents are about to celebrate their 60th wedding anniversary.
Oh,
And
that
I
is.
am so,
Oh,
it doesn't, we've been talking about it as a family, and it's not when you actually stop and think about it, you think of what that actually means. So I'm super excited for them and for my family to be able to enjoy that special occasion in July. I'm excited. I think today is a good day because I am excited about using my experience. And I haven't decided what format this is going to take, but actually using my experience to continue to empower and work with individuals who might be having a bit of a tough time. Just a little hiccup, little bump in their path at the moment. Yeah, that's kind of an exciting possibility. I'm not quite sure how it's going to translate, but even at my age, I do have energy and I do have knowledge and wisdom and experiences to share. So hopefully, I'll be able to put that to some good use. Yeah.
yeah, I'm sure you can. And I mean, life is a playground. So, and I really feel like that's what you're doing. You're just really embracing life and enjoying it,
Yeah.
and just approaching it with curiosity. And I think that's
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah,
yeah,
and just being open to those possibilities. Like I said, I never thought this is where I'd be, but if you're open enough to them,
yeah,
then I think
yeah,
it just brings on different opportunities, but you've got to have your eyes wide open to see them
yeah, yeah.
and be receptive.
That is a great input, and just send it out there because I think
Yep.
that
Yep.
is more people need to just trust that if you're open enough, things will come to you, and you will find your things, and the opportunities are just out there to be just
To be happy.
to be happy. Yes, to be happy.
Yes. Yes, to
Yeah.
be happy, to feel fulfilled, because
Yeah.
I watch my aged my parents are aging, and you just think, that's what it's all about. If you can be surrounded by people you love, and you are having some
Yeah.
purpose in your life,
Yeah.
that's just that's what I want to be able to
Yeah.
say.
What else can you ask for?
Yeah,
in life?
100%.
And 60 years, that's an achievement. That's beautiful. So my congratulations to them and
Thank
to your
you.
family.
Thank you.
And thank you so much, Michelle, for sharing your life path, or some of it anyway, and how that sort of grown your resilience, and yeah, just sharing your light here with us. It's a
Well,
true
thank you.
inspiration.
Well, thank you for the opportunity. I've thoroughly enjoyed not just speaking to you, but also thinking about speaking to you.
Yeah,
You
yeah.
know, it is a really interesting opportunity, and one I've thoroughly enjoyed. So thank you for reaching out, and thank you for making it happen.
Thank you so much, Michelle, and thank you to everyone that's listened to this episode today. There will be some more details about how you can connect with Michelle and in the show notes. And looking forward to hear you next time. So you take
Oh,
care out there. Bye-bye.
bye, everybody.
I encourage you to subscribe to Resilient Voices and follow along on social media, where we'll be sharing updates, resources, and stories from our growing community of resilient women. And if you ever feel inspired or have a story to share, don't hesitate to reach out. I'd love to hear from you. You can also use the hashtag Resilient Voices to connect with other listeners who are on their own journeys of transformation.